All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. I love that. My wife's in there listening to her squirrel tribe people. And apparently, the president has decided to give everyone who lost everything in California a one time payment of $770 or so. Uh, awesome. Awesome. Right? Because, you know, you just lost $1 million home in Pacific Palisades and
have $700.
Right? Insurance company is already closed down your plan, so you're not going to be able to get any money from the insurance, But have $700, and never mind the fact that a week ago I gave Ukraine $500 million.
Well, honey, you have to appreciate the consistencies, though. It's the same amount he gave the people in Tennessee.
Yeah, where do they get that number? How is 700? It's like, how you doing, QR?
If he gave them 4,000 and the people in Tennessee 700, I'd be mad.
Right, but I mean, the point is there like an office somewhere doing a bunch of math and deciding $700 is the correct amount?
I love how you think.
But QR, what is up? I mean, I like to think that somewhere within our government there are people who are like math nerds and they're figuring shit out. I mean, you know me, baby. I'm an optimist.
You're adorable.
I know I'm adorable. I'm an optimist. I always think, but it's like literally a week ago, this asshole gives a failing state in Central Europe $500 million. I mean,
same thing to the people in Tennessee, though, Dave.
Yeah, he did the same thing when the people in North Carolina were freezing in the snow and couldn't get any help. He gave a shit ton of money to freaking Ukraine. It's like, leave Ukraine alone. They're losing the war. They're not winning. Quit throwing good money after bad, At some point, realize that whatever money we threw at Ukraine, fine, whatever, we did it. But you need to stop because it's not changing anything. The Russians are pushing on every front. The Ukrainian army's in mass retreat, those of them that aren't just straight up going AWOL and deserting their positions. So, yeah, at a point, you're just throwing good money after bad, It's like, and I don't mind being a little political sometimes. You guys know that, but it's like, come on. Come on. I have never in my 53 years of life seen a president work so hard to handicap his successor as this particular president. And I say that as a guy that had all kinds of hope. Like when the election was done, I was like, okay, everything's going to be calm for the next month, whatever. It'll all be good. Then we'll go on to the next phase and we'll see how that works. And then there'll be another one, whatever. But President Biden, it seems, has just went out of his way to be the most spiteful prick he could possibly be. Which is why I think if you win the election, you should have like 1 week between you won and you get sworn in. 1 week. It should not take that long for one group to get their asses out of the White House so the other group can get in. You know what I mean? This idea that you got to give them a month to F everything up before you're allowed to come in there? No, I don't like it. One more reason monarchism is the way to go, guys. But anyway, what am I doing today? I am painting. I've just finished painting some characters for A Song of Ice and Fire, as usual. So we've got Cleftjaw. He's a commander for the Greyjoys. I believe he's the Ironmakers guy. Then we've got the Dampier. He's the one that likes to drown people and pull them back from the sea and then bring them back to life and be all like, that which is dead can never die. Then we've got Tristarion, the Reader. Yeah, I don't remember this character, but apparently he is a non-combat character that you can take and considered to be one of the more educated guys. And then this guy is a Blacktide. What is his name? It's like Balin Blacktide or whatever, and he's blind. So he's a priest of the drowned god, but he's actually blind. And then I'm working on Asha Greyjoy, getting her, ready. Because you got to have your Asha Greyjoys. And then the other thing I'm doing is this is this is a wizard from Reaper. And I'm getting ready to change him to become a Cimmerillion from TALISLANTA. And how I will be doing that is I'll just be painting his face light green. And maybe his hair darker green. Or maybe I'll leave it blonde because some Cimmerillions have blonde hair as well. And one reason to do that would be because my brother is now having second thoughts about whether he wants to play a blue bird person. Now he's starting to think maybe he would like to play a character that has magic. And a Cimmerillion or a Cimmerillion Outcast are two of the best magic users I'm allowing in the TALISLANTA campaign, because I'm only allowing characters from the 9 kingdoms. So there'll be no characters from freaking, all these other places, Stacia and all that. No, 9 kingdoms. Maybe Eremites, because they literally border the 9 kingdoms, but definitely no Ammonites or any of that. Hey, TCG, how you doing? A permanent presidency. I mean, yeah. You say tomato, I say tomato. You say potato, I say potato. Yeah. No, I just think that we have seen some of the shadiest bullshit ever recently. And I'm just like, this is some shady shit. It's like, if you think you're the good guys after all this shady ass shit, you are insane. Plus the fact that the opposing group, all they do is they never run on how things are going to be better. They run on how you should be terrified of the other side. And that's sad, It's never, hey, if you vote for us, we're going to make sure that you get better health care or something. It's always, if you vote for them, they're going to take away your health care. Which isn't true, but I mean, so negative, man. So negative. Of course, we can all be thankful we're not British. If I lived in Britain, you guys wouldn't be seeing me online. Because half the shit I've posted on Twitter would have got me thrown in prison for like the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So there's that. But we'll see what happens. But this whole everyone gets wrecked, and then no matter where they are, Tennessee, California, etc., they get $700, and it's just like, who is coming up with this? I want to know who came up with that math. So, first off, it's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to all. And secondly, you can't really see what I'm doing because I have shaky hands, always have my whole life. So if I don't hold my everything close, I can't paint detail at all. But so here we've got a once human wizard who is now a Cimmerillion wizard, or maybe a wizard outcast. The difference is the Cimmerillion wizards, they get a lot more magic, whereas the Cimmerillion outcast or rogue magician, they get magic, but they also get a selection of skills. So they're very easy to customize because you can make a Cimmerillion wizard that or outcast that's like an assassin or a thief or a lock cracker. You know, they get a whole list of freaking a whole list of skills that are like pick. Basically, they give you this big skill list and they tell you pick, you know, one from this and one from this and one from this. So, you know, a lot more customizable. I like it, but you lose out on one order of magic. And in TALISLANTA, an order of magic doesn't mean, oh, I get a magic spell. It means um, I have the knowledge of an entire school of magic. So it'd be like in D&D if you chose to play a mage character and your mage character got every invocation and conjuration spell. Just right off the beginning, you got every one of them, right? But the problem was every time you tried to cast one of those spells, you had to make a skill check or something really bad could happen. Almost every stereotype in TALISLANTA starts with a lot of the mages, they start with like one um, school of magic, but the Cimmerillion mage and I think the Phantasian mage, they start with two, which is actually incredibly powerful. And as I've said before when talking about TALISLANTA, enchant item is something that almost every mage gets. It's you know, it's like, so the way enchanting items works is it's basically the weaker the item, the easier and quicker it is to enchant. So if you wanted to enchant a handful of crossbow bolts to be level 1 crossbow bolts, that wouldn't take too long. But if you wanted to enchant a sword to be like a level 4 sword, that could take months and thousands in materials and be a really difficult challenge to do. And uh, so I would definitely say TALISLANTA is a high magic campaign system. If you're the kind of guy like me that hates the idea of magic shops in D&D, well, TALISLANTA, you're going to have to get used to that idea a little bit, because in the capital city of the 9 kingdoms, Cimmerillia, 80% of the population are mages. So that means 8 out of 10 of the native people you meet in that kingdom can enchant items. And as you would think, that means that there are entire groups of people who run mercantile um, businesses where the only thing they do is make magic items, right? That's why some of the archetypes even begin the game with some enchanted items. A great example is the Blue Anid Warriors. They begin the game with bracers of teleportation, which allow them to basically, not teleportation, levitation, which allows them, since they can't fly, they can only glide. Well, they can glide indefinitely because they're bracers, you know? Right now, I'm putting some black wash on these guys. I use this Vallejo black wash mainly because it costs twice as much as the Games Workshop black wash. Non oil works just as good, and look how big that thing is, man. That's like 6, almost 7 fluid ounces. So when you add up the cost by fluid ounce, this stuff is way less expensive, and it's just as good, just as good. So yeah. And right now I'm giving the dampier a black wash, and after that's done, I'll probably have to highlight his flesh, which looks a little on the dark side. I have to remember that these Greyjoy guys are kind of pale looking, you know. I guess living on those rocks in the middle of the ocean with hardly any sunlight or anything, just constant rain and storms and whatnot. They don't get a lot of time to lay out and on the beach and get a nice healthy tan, you know. Talked to my brother this morning. He was taking a nap, and I'm sitting here smelling the delicious smells of roasted garlic and onion my wife is cooking. I said I'm smelling delicious smells of garlic and onion because you're in there cooking. She's in there sauteing up some stuff. It's smelling amazing. Now let's do Tristy and the Reader. Even though, yeah, I'm not 100% sure what his deal is. Like, is he a maester or something? I didn't think that Greyjoys went in on all that maester shit. I thought they were like very opposed to the idea of maesters because they have their priests of the drowned god. So they're not down with the 7 gods or whatever. But I'll have to look him up and see what his, because he's a non-combat character, so which means he does the political stuff. I'll have to look him up and see what his political stuff is and whether it's good or not. I found the green. You know, there's a blue-green that they expect your Song of Ice and Fire characters to be painted in, basically. And it turns out that blue-green almost perfectly is matched by the Sons of Horus. Sons of Horus green. That is like the perfect green for Greyjoys. That weird kind of sea green, like I said. Well, Sons of Horus, which I haven't painted any Sons of Horus, to be fair. I've only painted Legion 9 and whatever Legion Fulgrim rolled over. Even though my commander for 30K is actually Lucius, the Blade Master. But yeah. Even though, let's be honest, Lucius is an asshole. I mean, a traitor to his friends. That makes it, he's like the worst kind of traitor because he started out being on the good guy team. and then switched over midway through. So Lucius is worse of a trader than the ones that were just straight up traders from the get go. You know, he fought and fought and fought for his friends and then betrayed them. I mean, why? So he could live a little longer? Is like, what a scumbag, right? You guys are being quiet today. There ain't too many of you either. Is someone else streaming that I don't know about? Like, I looked and I didn't see anyone else streaming. Or am I just that boring? And if I'm that boring, then tell me what you want me to talk about. Maybe I'll do a song and a dance. I could tell you about my wife's delicious ham, asparagus, Swiss cheese casserole. It is amazing. If you've never had it, I mean, let me just tell you, it's absolutely amazing. To die for. I never had it until I married her, but you know, once I did have it, I was like, yeah, I made the right decision. That was the right choice, marrying her. You know, making that casserole for me. Uh oh, somebody has jumped into the chat to talk some smack. It is Litholdus.
Yeah, I came to tell you how much you suck.
Thank
Nah.
you.
I
What you
don't
been
know.
up to today?
I've been playing Dark Cloud 2.
Playing what?
It's an old PS2 game called Dark Cloud 2.
Huh.
Or Dark Chronicles in other places, but I figured out something cool about it.
Okay.
It kind of technically has a new game plus because in the game, your character to invent things has to take pictures. And normally, you get a lot of these pictures late in the game,
Right.
but you could actually save the pictures on your memory card and then import them into your new game, allowing
So
you to,
you start with all the pictures you need to create whatever you need to create.
yeah. Basically, you can make a lot of inventions early on, like, I don't know, Nova Cannon 4s.
I don't know what any of those are, but it sounds cheaty, but also cool, fun.
Well, I mean, it's not technically cheating. It's built into the game, so if you play it through once, you can just play it through with a lot more cool stuff. It's actually less of a new game plus than most new game pluses anymore. Because a lot of games will just make it where you'll start off with all your cool gear, all the levels and everything at the very beginning after you beat it once.
Huh. I have been playing Medieval Dynasty.
Yeah. Oh, man. Also, soon enough, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
What?
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is about to come out.
Yeah, might have to jump in on that. I haven't really been playing a lot of computer games. I downloaded Ark and might play that again.
Yeah, if I want the Ark itch, I'd probably just play Power World now.
Yeah, I don't know. I like dinosaurs. I always have.
Yeah. I
I've
get
always
that,
been
though.
like, dinosaurs, yay.
I mean, there's a few things Power World needs to do better. One, I hope they do a bit better on the character customization. A lot of characters will just be the same because there's not much on that.
Yeah, but a lot of people love Power World.
Oh, I love it too. I love everything it does except for character customization, really.
I mean, you run around with a bunch of Pokemon shooting each other and stuff.
Yeah. It's what Pokemon should be with guns.
With guns, yeah, you know? Like
a lot of people looked at Power and like, why didn't Pokemon do this?
you know.
They could have taken out a few of these things, and this would have been perfect for Pokemon.
Yeah. I'm going to maybe we'll see what I do in the dinosaur world, and I'll keep playing my game of whatever, which uh, Medieval Dynasty. I've been playing it a long time because there's kids running around my village now. They're like 12 years old.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I think they actually have another version of it, but for medieval Japan, don't they?
I don't know.
Or
The
it's
one I have
something about
can
that.
be played multiplayer, but only like 4 players can log on to your server.
Yeah.
So it's like meh. But
Our world has, I think, a lot more people can join a world,
yeah,
but you better have a good server, buy a good server for that, or join one of the public servers.
yeah, like Hungar has a character on my server and he's out in the middle of the woods, like trying to build a house. So I'm going to be like, look, bro, why don't you just come to my village? I'll give you a house. I got spare houses and spare women that do nothing but hang out around the campfire and bitch about not having husbands. So if you move into my village, you can get a nice house and a woman. I mean, have kids, go crazy, knock yourself out. We'll see. We'll see how he feels about it.
Uh,
But so these guys have all been. Uh, Power World was the Pokemon game we deserved from the very beginning.
hey, look, I don't judge Pokemon from the very beginning on Power World standards. I just think this should have been what Pokemon evolved into.
Right.
There's
Well,
no
I know
way.
Hungar likes Power World too.
I'm
So
just saying, there's no way you could actually put Power World on the Game Boy. And then
uh,
somebody will probably make a remake of it and then prove me wrong. But,
yeah, I mean, but regardless, yeah, Hungar is a huge fan of Power World too.
it is a good game. I like it. I'm
A lot of
kind of a
people
little
like it.
I'm a little bored with it right now. I'm waiting for them to really make another good big update. The last
Right.
one's not bad, but still needs a little bit more, I think.
Well, I mean, the game I play, they do updates, but really, you just spend most of your time trying to gather up enough firewood and everything else so that your villagers don't die.
Eh. And then
Now, the
there's
good news is you can set villagers jobs. So right now, because I've got over 100 villagers and I've set them all jobs for like, you 4 assholes are in charge of getting lumber and cutting firewood, and you 4 assholes are in charge of making sure everyone's got water, and you idiots watch the chicken coop, and so you can kind of like
assign people jobs so the things
assign
can
people
run.
their jobs, and then
Kind of like
after
Power World,
that,
actually.
you just kind of got to watch them to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Kind of like Power World, actually.
Right. And as long as they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, then everything's made in the shade. But
Oh man, I'm glad with some of the updates they did too, because they fixed a lot of the issues with the base system.
did they?
Oh yeah, used to pals would just get stuck on everything and then wouldn't work and get hungry and die. And you're just like, why? And then it's like they finally fixed the pathing issues, and now you can build bases properly instead of having that happen.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Oh boy. And then there's also Monster Hunter, new Monster Hunter game coming out, and it looks awesome.
New monsters.
New Monster Hunter.
Oh yeah, yeah. You've been talking about Monster Hunter. All
They've
I
been
know about
updating.
Monster Hunter is that crappy movie with what's her name in it.
That's sad. You missed out on one of the best games ever with Monster Hunter 3 or Try.
Did I?
Oh yeah, that's probably still my favorite so far Monster Hunter game. Although it was my first, so who knows if I would have liked the older ones more. But Try I liked a lot. You had the ability to swim, fight monsters underwater.
I
Good
I do
online
that in
components.
Ark all the time. Except they're not monsters, except they are.
Yeah,
We call them dinosaurs, but let's be honest, we don't know if any of the stuff you see in that game is realistic or not.
they're not. I mean, as far as we found out, we kind of know they're not really.
Right? I mean, you can fight with a Spinosaurus or swim under the ocean and fight with a megalodon. And, of
Yeah, you
course,
should
you know
see.
what one of my favorite dinosaurs are in Ark?
What's that?
The Ankylosaurus, which it turns out isn't even a reptile. It's like a mammal.
Well,
But that thing is so good. You just ride around on it. And it's like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
yeah,
The big armored thing with the club tail.
yeah.
You're just cruising around, and if something messes with you, you just drop that club on them. Blah! Like, that's right.
One of my favorite monsters to hunt back in the day was the Lagiacrus.
One,
Basically, it was like a giant sea serpent with electrical powers.
so basically a giant electric eel.
Yes,
That wouldn't be cool. That wouldn't be cool at all.
it's hard to fight, but it was fun.
I mean, do you get any bonuses for killing them?
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, get more bonuses. I think back then you got more bonuses for capturing them. But
Mm,
yeah, usually you kill the monster.
all right. All right.
You'll get certain different rewards too for capturing or killing.
I usually only kill dinosaurs if I need meat. And if I need meat, the dinosaurs I always hunt down are like the long necks, like the Diplodocus or whatever,
Mm.
the giant long necked ones that just kind of stumble around because they're pretty easy to kill and they give you like hundreds of meat. So it's like, once you've got a rifle or something, you can just run those bastards down and kill them.
Talking about that, Monster Hunter looks like they're changing how their weapons work a little bit, giving them new abilities and stuff, which is kind of cool.
Well, they got to do something. I mean, they can't just keep feeding you the same thing over and over again.
Oh, I know. And another really cool thing is that you're getting a mount in this one, and on this mount you can actually have like an extra weapon on there, so you could quick swap weapons in the middle of a fight.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So you're not stuck with whatever you bring, but you can have like whatever you bring and another weapon now, and I like that. So
That is cool.
I'll probably will have like a heavy bow gun and either hammer or hunting horn combo.
Hmm. Yeah, depending on if you had the technology to do it or not. In Ark, you could train a Brontosaurus monster, one of those, and you could build a platform on its back that you could
Yeah,
ride,
for a mobile base, yeah.
and then you could mount sentry guns on it.
True.
So, if somebody ran up on you, you could have all these sentry guns going off.
I think you could do the same with like what was it, the pterodon or something like that, the big bird.
The Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl, yeah, that was it.
That thing is so hard to catch, though.
Yeah, that one I heard was really hard to catch, but
Like, as soon as you get near it, it's like, nope, bye.
nope, bye.
And
But
it's
if you
like,
did, you could pull drive-bys on people.
right. There are ways to catch it. Like, if you have the one cheat is if you have the freaking grappling hook, you can fly after it and tell your dinosaur to chase it, and then grapple hook your dinosaur and hang off the bottom of it. And while you're on the grappling hook, you can use weapons. But while you're on your dinosaur, you can't. So then you can chase the Quetzalcoatl all over the place and, shoot it full of trank darts. But there's a good chance when you try that you'll just fall to your death too. So,
True.
So, yeah, it's whatever. It's whatever. I mean, I've chased that bastard around so much. I've spent so many hours chasing it. And it's like, and then I'll try to track where it's going to go so I could like land just in front of where it's going to fly over and try and hit it with my rifle with the extra good trank darts in it. No luck. No luck. You know.
Yeah, you know what? We should probably play Cadillacs and Dinosaurs sometime.
Cadillacs and dinosaurs, right?
I've actually watched the cartoon, and that's actually pretty good.
Now,
Like
is
it.
Cadillacs and dinosaurs like hey, Big Vic, what's up, Mr. Reprobate? What?
The casserole is in the oven. It will be done in 40 minutes.
In 40 minutes?
40 to 45 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, I don't know why you came in here all like you wanted to fight about it, but damn, intimidated me a little bit.
Man,
I looked over and she just like,
she's like, I got your Cadillac, I got your casserole ready.
I got your damn casserole in the oven. You better represent, recognize. So it's getting ready to get wild up in this place. But let me ask you though, what was on my mind before, you know?
Yeah, it was about something about Cadillacs and dinosaurs.
Somebody was trying to intimidate me into subjugation.
I was telling
Is
you
that in the future?
Yeah, it's in the future.
So
It's like
the dinosaurs are basically like mutants or something?
No, all they say is that they returned and they're reclaiming the land. That's all you get, as far as I know.
Okay.
And there's like lizard people that have their own tribe. As far as I know about them right now is that they just want to be left alone and they hate people. They're like, just get out of our land. So I'm guessing the dinosaurs are mutants the way they come with it, but yeah, whatever.
In Call of Cthulhu, when the old ones were defeated and humanity was very first rising to power on the earth, some of the old ones created serpent men, and their whole job was to kill off the humans. But they never managed to do it.
Well,
and that's why if you ever read Conan, occasionally there's Conan stories where he talks about the serpent men of like Lemuria or wherever the hell they're from.
Yeah.
And if you know certain magic charms and stuff in Call of Cthulhu, you can see them. Because the lizard or the serpent men, they're not lizard men, they're serpent men.
Yeah.
They can cast illusions that make them look human. And they have determined, a lot of them have begun to live amongst human civilization. Right?
Yeah, that's cool.
But the problem, though, is if they know
they're going to try to kill you, probably.
Oh, they're coming after you with everything they got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you are fortunate or unfortunate enough to ever get your hands on that item or that ritual or whatever, you kind of got to play it, And the thing it reminds me of,
I'll be right back. I got to go to the trailer.
Oh, okay. The thing it kind of reminds me of is the movie They Live. Because that is what it is. It's like there are all these serpent men living amongst humanity doing whatever it is they're doing. And you can only see them if you have some kind of special device that will allow you to see them. But then if they know you see them, then they come after you. I guess unless you were a cultist, in which case they would be okay with you. Like if you were like, leave me alone, I'm a follower of Hastur or something, then they might leave you alone. But yeah. And these serpent men are somehow not, and I don't even understand how this works, but hey, who understands anything about the great old ones and whatever? But the serpent men are not necessarily directly affiliated with Yith, the great old one who loves snakes. Like they I don't even know if they even worship yet. But yeah, their whole deal was to try and wipe out all the mammalian life forms on Earth, and they failed. So I would have to look in my one of my Lovecraft books to figure that one out. Because I could be wrong. Maybe they do serve you.
I'm back.
You're back. Welcome back. Let me see here.
I really need to get myself a new hard drive.
Do you? Me too.
My C drive keeps telling me, free up space. I'm like, I can't, or I would.
I mean, you could.
No, I really can't.
Why can't you?
I only have like 111 gigs on there, and most of it's taken up by basically the OS.
Oh, yeah. Don't you hate that? That's how mine is. It's like, if I want to play Ark, I have to basically delete every other thing off my computer.
Now my D drive, I got plenty of space on that. That's 6 terabytes.
Well, I've got one of the drives that actually it's a portable hard drive,
Yeah.
and I can plug it in, and that thing's got like a terabyte plus. So okay,
Now,
bestiary. Let's see.
one thing I'm going to do eventually is upgrade my C drive into a
My
Nvidia
wife
B
got
drive.
this for me for like Christmas a couple years ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
slip cover with the two Call of
And I found a
Cthulhu
really nice NVMe drive for like, I think like $200, and it's got 4 terabytes on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a laptop, so upgrading that thing is like
Yeah.
whatever.
Some are kind of upgradable pretty well, but most of them aren't.
Okay, how to describe monsters. Okay, no one gives a shit. Let's just tell us where these monsters are so I can look at them. Serpent people. It says Yig and Satagoa. So, okay. So apparently some of the serpent people did worship Yig, which I didn't know was a thing. I honestly thought there was some other, maybe it was Satagoa. The Shagai from Yaga, those things are terrifying.
Yeah.
So let's see, the full serpent people. Let's see, what is it saying? A forked tongue. Masters of wondrous science and magic. But let's see, like what it talks about. Some serpent people did not go on. No, it says they worship Yig because he's the father of snakes. But in ancient times, some of them worshiped Sisagua. See, I don't know. I remember reading somewhere where they were created to wipe out humanity. But Yig is pretty much like not really giving a shit about humanity unless you kill serpents, in which case it's on. That's kind of Yig's game, you know what I mean? He'll put up with a lot of shit, but if you kill some of his little skelly buddies, don't be surprised if he doesn't curse you into becoming one of them. But Big Vic looking for a semi truck. Since he's from Minnesota, he's going to call his semi truck the Ludafish Express instead of the Pork Chop Express. It'll be the Ludafish Express. Or is that Wisconsin? No, I think it's Minnesota where they eat that damn rotten Viking fish. Dun, 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 dun. That's big. Like I told my ex-wife, I never drive faster than I can see, and besides that, it's all in the reflexes. Right? I'm gonna have to make a video for my channel today or tomorrow, but I'm not sure what. The last couple have been basically me talking about painting up all these Age of Ice and Fire guys or Song of Ice and Fire guys, and I don't know if people are like, yeah, okay, fine. Could do a battle report, a Song of Ice and Fire, Greyjoy versus Stark. I went a little crazy on picking up Stark units. I have more Stark units than I could ever field in any battle ever. Because the most combat units you're typically ever going to field in a battle is like 5 or 6. And I've got, I don't know, about 12 combat units. But there were just so many different units that I really wanted, like the Mormont She-Bears and, you know, the Raiders and all this and that. It was like, I don't know if I'm going to use them, but I do know that I want them. So even though Greyjoy is my favorite house, my largest army is Stark. Like, I have just so much.
It reminds me of something.
What's that?
I remember, I think it was like yesterday or the other day, where you were talking about why you'd want an army full of peasants. I'm like, because quantity is a quality of its own.
As Stalin would say, yes.
I mean, one thing I know about Nobunaga, he had like a very proficient peasant army.
Well, yeah, if you train them, then, you know. But yeah, the band of the bannerless whatever brothers, yeah, they're basically peasants and led by Lord Dondarrion, who's thrice killed, keeps getting killed, but the fire priest keeps bringing him back to life. But every time they bring him back to life, he's just a little bit less himself. Just a little more empty on the inside. You know what I mean?
For a while, he's just like, just let me die, please. Just let me die.
Yeah, he gets killed by the Mountain twice, and he gets killed by Sandor once. So that guy has made a career out getting killed by the Clegane brothers.
He is the Kenny of the show.
Yep. And he should have been able to beat Sandor because Sandor is terrified of fire, and Dondarrion has a flaming sword. But for whatever reason, Sandor pulled it out in the end and killed his ass. Split him right where the neck and the head meet the shoulder, all the way down past his collarbone. He's like, well, there you go. And then Sandor just went on about his way.
I also remember when, in Shogun 2, Nobunaga's main army was basically taking a lot of pike peasants and just making them so powerful, enemy samurai couldn't deal with them.
Well, I mean, pikemen are a weird thing because it's like in the most ancient times of warfare, like biblical era warfare, pikes were a thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course they were a thing during Alexander, the ancients and all that.
Yeah.
And then they kind of vanished for a little while. And then in the height of the medieval ages, almost to the Renaissance period, they came back with a freaking fierceness. You know what I mean?
With a vengeance.
Yeah, it's like the Spanish Tercero was basically
Tercios.
a pike unit with gunmen in it.
I always called them tercios, but I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know. But then you had those. You had the what was it? The British during the Civil War used mixed gun and pike units, and
Pike
then
and
on the
shot.
continent you had the Landsknecht from Switzerland or wherever,
Yeah, the Landsknecht. Those were famous.
and they were always doing mixed units of pikemen and great swords and guns and whatever. I mean, it
Swedes
was
did it
like
too.
who did?
Swedes also did a mix
Yeah,
of
it
pike
become a
and
thing
shot.
because it was like, all
And
right,
and actually, the Swedes kind of came up with the idea of modern artillery.
did they?
Yeah, with
Hmm.
Adolf Gustav, he's basically the founder of modern artillery. Really,
Hmm.
he was actually almost like this. He's actually really close to for being the first to come up with like the ship of the line. You know, the ship that made the Brits so terrifying.
Yeah.
He almost came up with it. Sad part is they kind of forgot ballast, and everybody that worked on that ship died.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, all the designers kind of died because they forgot ballast. The ship like flipped over and sank because they didn't have any ballast in it.
Rolled over.
Yeah,
Well, that's not good.
nope.
So, what to do video on the next time I do a video?
Ah,
I don't know either. I mean, I could do a video about how some other creator sucks, but that gets boring. It's like after a while, everybody's heard that Gary's a crazy person enough, and you
but
kind of
is he
just gotta
fun to
let it
watch?
go. Well, that's because it's like the Pink Floyd song, Dirty Laundry. Pikes throughout history, very similar to a roller coaster. Yeah. They still were kind of popular. I mean, if you think about it, in World War One and World War Two, the weapon of last resort was to fix bayonets,
Yeah,
which basically turned your battle rifle into a spear.
true.
And some of the bayonets some of the armies used, like the Japanese, those bayonets were like a foot and a half long.
Well, I bring out my bayonet for the what was it, the Mosin Nagant. That thing's decently long itself.
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty nuts. When I was in Iraq, back during the old army times when they didn't issue you optics or body armor or anything,
They still
um,
probably gave you a bayonet, right?
you had a bayonet though, for sure. And you were expected when you went through basic training to go through the bayonet courses.
Talk about that. That's kind of funny because I heard somebody talking about how they had those little like the carrying handles on their M16s, and people get in trouble for actually using the carrying handle as a carrying handle.
Yeah, you were always supposed to carry the thing at the ready. So now there was a secret where you could, if you were on a long march and your arms were getting tired from carrying your M16, the secret was to tuck the magazine into the front of your LBE and then just rest your arms on top of it. And unless somebody was really, really watching you, it looked like you were carrying it in front of you at the ready, right? Whereas in reality, it was resting on the inside of your belt and you were actually able to rest your arms on it. But I mean, that was kind of a secret. You could tuck the magazine into your belt.
Another really funny military story I heard from someone. This was from Zach Hazard. He talked about this like the brass and ammo shakedown after firing. They don't want you to have live ammunition.
Right.
Uh, this drill sergeant went to this like big corn-fed type country guy who usually talks in like a very deep voice. goes to the pocket, like the shirt pocket of his thing, grabs like something inside of it, goes, "What is this, Private? What is this?" And he goes, "That's my nipple, Drill Sergeant." Drill Sergeant's just like, just trying to keep him laughing and fails. And he goes, "No, seriously, what is it?" It's like, "Oh, it's just litter."
I was watching this thing, and it was funny stories, from military training. And
Yeah.
apparently this Air Force guy was telling the story how they were all, how to tell you've got a sociopath, like in your platoon. And they had this guy, and apparently in Air Force chow halls, they have an ice cream machine where you can get ice creams out of it, right?
Yeah.
And you're only allowed to get ice creams out of it when the training instructor says you're allowed. And apparently that's never, ever, ever, right? And one day this dude sat there and he ate his lunch, and then without saying a word, he got up, walked across the chow hall, and just stuffed all the ice creams he could out of the ice cream machine and sat down, just started eating them. And everybody was watching him like, what in the F? You know what I mean? And he's sitting there eating all the ice cream. And his drill instructor runs up to him and starts just yelling at him, blah, 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 blah. And the guy's not saying a word. He's just sitting there eating the ice cream, looking at the drill sergeant. And finally, the drill sergeant's like, "Who in the F do you think you are?" And this guy, straight face, looked the drill sergeant right in his eyes and said, "I'm Batman." And the drill sergeant had to about face and walk off because he was going to laugh. And then this guy just sat there and finished up his ice cream. I mean, he caught hell later, but in that moment, it was just like, "I'm Batman." And for the rest of their training, whatever, all the drill sergeants called him Batman. "Batman, get over here." And it was like, but he never did that again. But I guess one day the guy just had enough of sitting there staring at the ice cream.
It's like, "I want ice cream right now."
I don't give a shit,
Oh.
And the whole "I'm Batman." Like, he was not impressed. The drill sergeants were getting up in his face, yelling at him, and he was just like eating ice cream.
Oh.
And I was like, I didn't know the Air Force had cool people in it,
Oh, the Air Force. One thing about that means that might have been his call sign then, right? If he's in the Air Force.
No, they were training the platoon he was in. They were training to be recovery specialists.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind that.
So they were kind of hard asses. I mean, they were the guys that were going to go in behind enemy lines.
Never mind. That wouldn't make sense anyway.
Out, right?
But yeah.
But they weren't pilots. They were going to be recovery guys. But yeah, apparently Batman just one day after a hard day's PT or whatever they were doing decided he's eating ice cream. And he did too. He ate all that ice cream.
One thing about the Air Force
sergeant just turned around and walked away because when he looked him in the face and said, "I'm Batman," the drill sergeant was going to crack up.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't do this. Do.
You had to leave. Oh boy, but
he just had to walk out. He was like, "Yeah, no."
One thing about the Air Force, call signs are never cool. They're always something that should make you embarrassed or something else.
Well, that's
very insulting.
That's everywhere, dude. In the fire department, if you earn a freaking nickname, it's never something you want.
Yeah.
Like, no one's ever going to be like, "Dude, your nickname is Dragon Slayer because you slayed that dragon," which is, short for the fire. Oh no, your nickname's going to be something like the Wizard because you play D&D and you're a nerd. Or something even worse. You know what I mean?
Never ever complain about your nickname or call sign. Just
you could complain about it, but I'll just make everybody F with you harder about it.
Yes. It's gonna get worse if you do that.
you might as well just suck it up and go on, you know.
Take the first one. It's going to be a lot easier and a lot better. And you know, it doesn't really matter all that much.
Well, my one of my best friends' call sign was the Mexican, and it was because he was Puerto Rican. And I've told you about that. Like every time he'd mention being Puerto Rican, we'd all be like, "You're Puerto Rican. We thought you were Mexican this whole time." And I mean, I worked with this guy for 5 years. You know what I mean? One of the nicest, best men you ever met. Definitely a guy you want with you in a fire. But that was just the joke. You know, it was like, this whole time I thought you were Mexican. You know, and he'd be like, "No, I'm Puerto Rican, man." Be like, "Oh, okay." But was he Puerto Rican? I mean, he was born and raised in Chicago.
Well,
So it's like,
I don't know. I don't know how you deal with that. It's like,
are you actually Puerto Rican or are you just some dude from Chicago? I mean, you know, whatever. But
his family might have been from Puerto Rico or something.
his dad was from Puerto Rico.
See?
And in Chicago, apparently owned a furniture store.
Yeah.
And then at some point, they moved to Florida and he got a job at Orlando Fire Department. And after being at OFD, which is in my area, the premier fire department, OFD, they get all the best equipment and all the best pay and all the best whatever, right? After being there for a couple of years, he said, "F that," and quit OFD and came to the department I worked at because he's just sick and tired of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they might give you all the best stuff, but they treat you like all the worst stuff, you know? Because they know that you feel like you're lucky to be there, so they treat you that way. And he wanted to go to a department where there was actually a little bit of fun to be had, you know? Because fun is not a thing that's allowed in Orlando ever.
Well, I know that.
I don't know. Like, they tried to kick some dudes out of the fire department because they were down on they were doing something down on Orange Avenue in downtown Orlando, and the truck was parked, and a bunch of hot chicks were like, "Hey, can we get a picture on your truck?" You know, it's a big fire engine, right?
Yeah.
And of course, the firefighters are like, "Sure," and they let the girls get the picture on the truck, right? And then, you know, somebody complained, and then admins all like wanting to fire these guys. And it's like, you know, we're supposed to do community outreach, which we were. Like one of the biggest things we did all the time was community outreach. Like if we didn't have anything planned and we weren't actively doing a call, they would take one station off of the rotation, you know, which basically meant if a call came in, that station was not going unless it was something really bad, you know, like an all, you know, like
All hands on
5
deck.
alarm fire, everybody's going. And
Like
then,
what's happening in California right now.
exactly. And then what they would do is that one crew would be assigned some kind of outreach thing. And it would be something like we would go to the local Home Depot and set up the smoke trailer, which was a little trailer we pulled behind the truck, and it had smoke machines and shit in it, right? And you would take little kids in the trailer and you would teach them about crawling low to the ground and getting out. And, you know, you'd basically teach fire safety. And then all the little kids would get like a little coloring book and a little pack of crayons and whatever. So, I mean, the city, for that part, loved us because all the people loved us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like one thing I had to do a couple of times, maybe got to, it depends, is we would go to like daycares And then like we had a little bitty, hey, what's up, Jose? We had a little bitty set of turnout gear. And for fun, they would pick someone from the crowd, and then I would have to race that person and getting into full gear. And my job was to lose. And that's when they called me Firefighter Jimmy. And then I have pictures of like whole classrooms of daycare people or
Don't
first or
be
second
firefighter
graders.
Jimmy. He's too slow.
Yeah, basically they'd be like, "Oh my goodness, you beat Firefighter Jimmy. I can't believe it." No, they wouldn't say I'm too slow. They'd make a big deal out of it though, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Even though my job was to watch him and make sure that he beat me, not by a lot, but that
Just enough to make it look a little believable.
yeah. So the whole time I'm gearing up, I'm watching him, the little kid or little girl. And then at the end of the whole thing, a lot of times they would get a picture and it would be me on a knee in full gear with like 50 kids hanging off of me. And they would take that picture and it'd be hung on the wall. And then for a while there, I would get mail from these kids and it'd be like crayon pictures of me, and it would be like Firefighter Jimmy and it'd have a picture of the truck and me in the yellow uniform. And, the kids loved it. And then we have a place for like very autistic and whatever kids that's ran by the Catholic Church. And we would go there like once a month. Actually, a lot of times more than once a month, but we were scheduled for about once a month. And, they'd look at our truck and we would hang out and talk to them. And they loved it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely loved it. But when I say we were scheduled once a month, but often went more than once a month, is because a lot of times these little bastards would like pull the fire alarms. And they knew what they were doing was wrong, but they pulled them anyway because they knew that if they pulled them, we would show up. And then we'd show up because the fire alarm's going off in the home for the very, very mentally, whatever people that the church takes care of. And they'd be waiting out in the front lawn, dancing and shit, singing. They'd be so happy to see us. And then, like, you can't be mad at them. You know what I mean? What?
Do you smell it?
Yeah, it's cooking. Why are you trying to give me these looks? Oh, my God. You're not the boss of me.
What did you do, James?
I didn't do anything. I looked up and I had an angry dwarf posted up, like like I was some kind of goblin or something. I'm not a goblin.
I don't know. We need to maybe use the goblin test on you.
The goblin test. Here, drink this. It's the worst thing you're ever going to drink. It's goblin pee-pee. Why would you have me drink that?
If you like it, then you're a goblin.
Right? Like, he's always making her roll around in like goblin blood and stuff. You're gonna hunt goblins, you gotta smell like a goblin. But that was something we did as part of the outreach and whatever. A lot of departments don't do that, but that was like a huge part of our department's, I guess you would say, culture or whatever.
Yeah.
Was going out and like, meeting with the kids and teaching them to, if they hear the smoke detector go off, to frickin' get on the floor and crawl to the exit and whatever. And what's up, guys?
Nerdy goblin.
I don't know. Everybody keeps popping in and saying hi. I mean, you guys can join if you want. I don't know how much longer I got since my wife keeps giving me the eye. But And I was just talking about how TALISLANTA still rocks and how Hungar is reconsidering which archetype he wants to play. Because now he's saying he wants to play something that can use magic. And the blue Anid warriors cannot use magic. Or at least they don't start with it. But if you don't start with magic in order to learn a skill of magic, it's like, I don't
Very
know,
hard.
super difficult. It takes like so many game months and so much XP that forget about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're learning magic, and magic is hard to learn. Like, if you want to learn to sword fight or use a bow, that's not that bad. But if you're trying to learn actual, elementalism or something, then that's like 3 times the XP and 6 months
That's one
out
thing.
of game.
In RuneQuest, I never really had to learn things like spells or magic. You start off with spells, and sometimes you get it in weird ways, so I never thought about it.
Yeah, in TALISLANTA, if you want to learn magic, not only do you have to pay like tons of XP to learn the magic, but your character has to not adventure for months.
Long time, yeah. And I've been
So
more
I
interested
guess
in,
you could make a second character to hang out with the group
yeah.
while your primary character is training in magic. But and then there's some classes or races or whatever
Just can't
that
get it at all.
can just never learn magic.
Fair.
It doesn't even matter. Like
Another thing, though,
the thrall can never learn magic.
I just think
Never
about
seen
it.
Goblin Slayer,
Well, watch it.
but you saw a comic where the goblins were worshiping the Goblin Slayer as the god of death.
Wow.
Maybe. Actually, Goblin Slayer and Goblin Slayer Bridged are both worth a watch.
Yeah.
I've grown to where I actually like Goblin Slayer Bridged more.
It is good.
Just because it's so funny,
Yeah. There's some abridged that just does do things so well, and it's fun to watch.
Like Table.
Table?
Yeah, Table. The
Oh,
table in
yeah.
frickin' the
I was just
tavern
talking.
that all of his frickin' mail keeps going to.
I was confused for a second. You're just talking about the. Yeah, okay.
Well, Table is a character.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking of a bridge series in general. You just went to Goblin Slayer talking about Table.
Yeah, there's a table in the tavern / adventuring place, and all of Goblin Slayer's mail goes there, but no one knows how or why.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then the Goblin Slayer, because he's a crazy bastard, he'll sit and have whole conversations with Table.
Yeah.
Like when Priestess wanted to join Goblin Slayer and was like, if I join you, you'll kill goblins at a 30% more efficiency. And
Did you hear that, Table?
Hold on,
30%.
I gotta talk to, and he goes over and just starts talking to the table.
Yeah.
He's like, 30%. That's more than I'm doing now. That could be a good deal, And he's like, and then he's like, stopping. Well, what the hell do you know? You're a table. It's like, yeah, pretty much. The one scene where they're in the wagon and the one woman is looking at Goblin Slayer and he's sleeping. And she's like, so this is what adventure looks like. A homeless schizophrenic.
Yes.
Like,
that's actually quite
he looks
accurate.
over at the priestess, and the priestess is like, kill all goblins. Like,
this is definitely what adventuring looks like. Just homeless, crazy people.
yeah, just a bunch of homeless schizophrenics or whatever.
Yep.
Roaming about, killing goblins.
Killing goblins.
They got hired to kill the goblins in that one town, and they accidentally burnt the whole town to the ground.
Yeah.
And the guy came to complain about it, but then the woman's like, "Look, you hired them to kill the goblins, right?"
Goblins are
And he's
dead?
like, "Yeah. Are the goblins dead? Yeah. Well, it sounds to me like the mission was a success.
I guess
Okay,
so.
then I guess I'll just go back to my burnt buildings.
I guess I'll go back and die then. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Sorry
I
for
guess I'll just
complaining.
go back and die." It's like, and every episode starts out with somebody trying to offer some kind of horrible disease.
Yes.
Dysentery. I've got fresh dysentery. Who wants some dysentery? I do. Spit
You know
it right
what?
in my mouth.
Sword Art Online's also got a very actually Sword Art Online's only good with its parody because the original series was just bad. But I do like the parody. It's like people call me the Chocolate X or this other thing, and it's like you can call me Tiffany. The other guy's like, that's a masculine name. It's like it shouldn't be. It's a woman's name. I don't know how to talk to you.
Oh, the oven just beeped.
Yep.
Did you hear
It's
it?
like just sit over there, listen. It's like,
I have never seen Dungeon Soup. Hey, Jose.
hello, Jose.
Nice to talk to you.
No way, Jose.
Hello?
Hello.
I can hear you.
Oh, you hear me. Okay, thank you.
No, I was just, that used to be a thing you said when like we were kids. If somebody wanted something and you didn't want to give it to them, you'd be like, "No way, Jose."
Yeah.
Yeah. And if somebody offended, your mother.
Your mother. Well, no, we never
Yo,
did
mama.
that.
That's
We
it.
never
Your
did
mama.
that.
Yeah.
When I was a kid in Eastern Kentucky, talking about someone's female relatives was a surefire way to get
Getting a fight at least.
punched in the face. It's going to happen. You might win that fight, but there was going to be a fight. I mean, there was just
Yeah.
rules, like never talk about anybody's mom. Now, when I joined the army, I got over it because it was like I was there with a bunch of Yankees, and all they ever did was talk about each other's moms. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. When I was about 6 years old, I discovered what it was to bite the dust in the fight. So I said, okay, there must be some other way to solve the problems.
See, I don't know. I never got hurt enough in a fight that I ever stopped fighting.
Me neither. I didn't get in too many fights though.
I didn't get in a whole lot of fights.
The guy
but
was bigger than me.
yeah.
I've fought a couple of people bigger than me.
Yeah,
Wasn't
well,
that bad.
my family had a rule like if anybody beat up Hungar, I got beat up when I got home. So, no
out
one
there,
could ever
protect
beat
your brother.
Hungar up. That was just the rule.
That's weird. Usually it was my brother beat me up.
Oh, yeah, I beat shit out of Hungar quite a few times. It was always over stupid shit, too.
One time it was just for waking him up. He didn't really mean to hit me, but he hit me.
Oh, my goodness.
I did the stupid, got up to his face, went, "Wake up, Jamie, wake up!" And then he's like, out of just sheer, I guess you say reflex, he just punched me in the face. I went flying back. My glasses flew off. You'd think that would hurt more, but not really. I
Oh,
was like,
dude.
I was just surprised.
Hungar got into it with me one time, and we tore the house apart. Like, he ripped the bedroom door off of my bedroom.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was incredibly violent. And we literally were fighting up and down the whole house, just tearing shit up. It was, but I mean, we were young and I don't know what we were fighting about, but yeah, we were tearing shit up, boy. It was like,
Yeah, very cinematic.
oh yeah. Like he threw a broom at me, and I ran behind the door and closed the door, and the broom went through the door.
Did you get in a lot of trouble for that one?
Oh yeah, my mom was not pleased when she got home from
House
working
trash,
all day, and the
doors off the
house was just
hinges.
tore apart. Yeah,
No, me and
because
Jimmy
But the
got.
good
this is yeah. My mom and my pops, they worked all day. You know, typical Gen X, come home from school, latchkey kid bullshit, right?
the
And
good thing
huh?
the good thing is that we learned physics. How did we learn physics? Well, by punching and by receiving punches and by scratching our knees. So basically, today people learn to drive by using Mario Kart or something like that, and they do stupid things when they drive. But we didn't, because we learned physics when we were kids.
Right. Yep. We
And it
definitely
hurts.
learned stuff.
It hurts to learn physics that way, but it's good. We survived that.
Well, my drill sergeant used to always tell us that the best teacher is pain. So,
Oh, me and
How
Jimmy got.
painfully true that truth is.
you know, that's what he'd always say.
Me and Jimmy did get in a lot of trouble when we tried to get Dad to slip on some dishwashing liquid by pouring it all over the floor.
Oh, God. Yeah, the one thing I can say about my brother and I is we never tried to do anything that would drug any of the parents into it. You know what I mean?
I don't know what we were thinking.
Yeah, you were
I
not
think that
thinking.
was, I think that was more Jamie's thing.
You were
He's a
not thinking.
wild child. I mostly tried to stay out of it.
Because, yeah, when mom and pops got home from work all day, the last thing that we wanted was for there to be any chaos.
Any more anger.
But
There's
if
already going
there
to be enough
was,
trouble.
then. And the thing is, our pops never, never, ever, ever lifted a hand against us. But I can't say the same thing about mom. Mom would take a belt to your ass if you acted up. Yeah, right. You were going to catch it.
I mean,
My
Papa took.
favorite was to go pick me a switch.
Yeah, my dad was told us about how his dad did that.
SAO.
Yeah, Sword Art Online.
I never watched that. Hungar watched it.
The parody is a lot better than the actual show.
Yeah,
I say.
Hungar watched it, but I never watched it.
But let's just say this: Papa, he got into a lot of trouble too, and tried to keep his brother from talking.
Oh
One time
yeah.
he shot his brother with like a BB gun. His brother got really upset about it. He's like, "Look, just shoot me and don't tell the parents." And and so Papa actually had like a little BB in his leg for that whole time.
See, we actually fought BB gun wars with those like Red Rider daisies or whatever. Like it wasn't like I mean, we weren't like, oh, I accidentally shot you. No, we all had them, and we are like, hey,
Hey,
this is what's going on. Now, how we got our eyes and everything still to this day is just pure luck. Because I
miracle.
mean, we were out there actively shooting at each other with BB guns because we were idiots. But I mean, you know, that's what happens when you grow up in the mountains. You know, you do stupid shit. Oh, by the way, Leth, I saw a really good there's a new channel on YouTube,
Yeah.
and all they do is talk about all the freakiest shit in Kentucky.
Oh, yeah. That sometimes comes up. I've
It's
seen
called
others do
Kentucky
things like that.
Melodies. And the episode I watched last night was about the witches of Eastern Kentucky
Mm.
and how eventually the men of the local village there had to go into the woods and they fought with them for like all night, but eventually they wiped them out. They think, but the legends say that there's still some of them out there. And these witches were basically like necromancers and whatever, and they worshiped dark gods, and they would kidnap children and for sacrifice, and also they were known to curse people and whatever. But if you were desperate enough, you could go to them to try and get them to curse someone else. But the price was always, very high. And, but eventually, after they kidnapped enough people and killed them, the men of the region decided, not enough of this shit. But half of the men that went out after him didn't come back.
Well, talking about that, have you ever heard of the story about Edmonton, Kentucky?
No, don't think so.
It's a story about a whole town just mysteriously vanished. Small town like I used to live in, actually. In fact, I think
it.
I think it was completely based off my actual hometown. Especially since there is no Edmonton, Kentucky. There is an Edmonton County, but no Edmonton, Kentucky.
Okay, let's see. Looks like Jose dropped.
Yep, he does that same time to time. Probably because of his camera. I think something was going a little bit haywire with it.
Well, plus he's pretty far away too.
True.
But
Internet
yeah,
issues,
they
sorry.
eventually killed off all the witches, or at least they killed off the ones they could catch. But there was always legend that some of them had survived, but they were weakened because the men had killed a bunch of them, so they just hid out in the deep forest, and would occasionally, if you were out in the deep forest alone or something, then bad things would happen. But
never leave a job half finished.
well, I mean, I'm sure they didn't try to, but according to the story, the witches had summoned like otherworldly things to fight for them, and it honestly, the story, even though it's based on folklore from Kentucky, it sounded like a Call of Cthulhu adventure.
Yeah, you could possibly make that into a Call of Cthulhu adventure.
Because you had this cult of witches worshiping dark gods out in the forest, like doing horrible shit and kidnapping people and human sacrifice and whatever. And, chanting and all that. And then, eventually you had the whole big crew of all the hunters and all the men that were known to be good at fighting got together and went out into the woods to hunt them down. And they found them out there mid, getting ready to sacrifice somebody to their dark gods. And of course, the witches knew they were coming. So they summoned all kinds of whatever they could summon to, stop them. And after a long, drawn-out battle, eventually the good guys won. But
this is exactly the same thing.
there's no guaranteeing that all of the witches were killed. And that was supposed to have happened in like the very early 1800s.
Yeah, I think that was right. I sent you the video that you might want to watch later.
Okay.
Because that's the strange story of Edmonton, Kentucky. Again, I know it's not true, but it was a fun story to watch. And I mean, it's also really weird to hear a story that's, I'm 100% sure, was like based off of my hometown.
Well, but here's the thing, though. How do you know it's not true? There could have been an Edmonton town that just vanished.
Well, if so, they took it like out of any historical record and map ever.
Yeah, but again, playing the advocate here, over You know, if the town disappeared in like, 1785,
No, it's more recent than that.
I mean, how in the hell would you know?
This was more like about probably 1960 or 70 where they're going with.
Oh, damn. Yeah,
Yep.
that's weird.
Like they were talking about the vacuum salesman going over there and trying to sell vacuums, and
Oh,
nobody's
okay.
there.
Well, so it could have been the 40s, 30s.
Could be possible, but
But
I
the
mean,
the witches of Eastern Kentucky, that story started in like the late 17 odds, like,
yeah,
and they say it was because the people who lived in the region, which would be near Pikeville and Harlan and all that, they were just normal people. But then another group of people moved in, migrated from, they think, Scotland, but they're not sure where they migrated from. But all of those people were basically devil worshippers.
mm,
And they immediately went out into the forest and started doing, witchcraft and shit. And for the longest time, people just avoided those forests, as good as they could,
not to
And
mention
that
the
was the
cars.
thing. Whatever you do, don't go into the forests.
The cars also definitely dates at least in the at the very most the 40s.
Right. But in this one, it's old. About probably the time my people arrived in that region. So the first one of my relatives arrived in that region in 1760.
What if it was your people who spread the rumors and stories?
What if the stories were true? I mean, why don't you
Well,
go
I
to
mean,
that place first?
I'm just saying, what if the stories were spread because of your family, your ancestors?
Oh, no. No one in my family is witches.
No, I don't mean that they are the witches, but the ones telling about the people
But
going
I
out
do
killing
I
the
do
witches.
know that. Hey, remember I told you one time me and my uncle went out near Cold Creek and we found the Satanist graveyard
Yeah.
called the Witches Graveyard. It's way out in the middle of the woods and hard to get to and full of brambles and shit. And it's a graveyard. But instead of crosses, it's other stuff on the tombstones. Now, me, could I find that place again? No. I know the general location though, but I probably couldn't find it again. And even if I could, I probably wouldn't
I wouldn't want to go there either.
because I'm kind of a chicken. But my uncle Lincoln was,
Nerdy Ogre's in
hey,
in the
nerdy ogre.
in
My
the
uncle
background.
Lincoln was a explorer.
Backstage, yeah.
He was
Backstage.
adventurer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was the kind of guy that would go to all the worst places.
Like my brother. My brother was like that.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, nerdy ogre? How you doing, homie?
Doing
Other
good.
way. Other way. There you go. There we see you.
Just a nerdy goblin.
So, like, like there was this thing that happened in the modern day where they found a couple guys on the train tracks that had been hit by trains and didn't have their heads were disconnected.
Oof.
But then it turned out after they brought in, better investigators, because the people down in that area of the county, McCrory, I think, but could have been Pulaski, they didn't look too deep into it. They said, oh, a guy got drunk and got hit by a train, right? Whatever. But then it turned out when they brought in state guys and like FBI guys that the heads had been disconnected before the body had been hit by the train. And
Yeah.
so, and in the end, they ended up arresting like a whole mob of Satanists that were, basically it was a whole family. And it gets pretty disgusting because like the dad had children with his daughter because they thought that would bring about, like a portal for the Dark Lord to enter the
Also,
earth.
no,
Shit like
Dirty
this.
Ogre, if you like weird, like creepy stories about random weird things about Kentucky, especially.
Yeah,
like
that's
this.
what we were. So, I mean, that happened
I'll
in
probably
my
tab that
lifetime.
if you want. And watch it later. It's like 30 minutes long.
Yeah. But what I'm talking about happened in my lifetime. I was a kid.
I
But
can't say that for a lot of things because it's like,
you're young.
yeah, I'm kind of a
Well,
youngin' right now.
This
Here in Costa Rica.
this
Oh,
happened
sorry.
in it's either West Virginia or Virginia. I can't remember which.
If I had to guess, I'd
But
say
my
West
parents,
Virginia.
but I mean, I know it's not Kentucky, but it's in that area.
Yeah, Appalachia. They could.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. West Virginia, which is the only state that is fully 100% in Appalachia.
Yeah.
Anyway, my parents were helping an aunt and uncle move. I think it was to West Virginia, and they were driving through the mountains, and they happened to look over and down. It was at night, and down in this area, they just saw a ring of fire, like torches, and they come to the conclusion it was one of two things: is either a witch's coven or a clan meeting.
Yeah, there ain't too many clan meetings up there
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
didn't see any white robes.
because it's like where I live, there's not enough black people for there to be a clan. You know what I mean? It'd be like,
Yeah.
why? Why would you have a clan if there's like less than 1% of the population is even black? It's like, it seems like much ado about nothing, you know?
Right.
And the few black dudes you know are all decent dudes and farmers and whatever. It's like no one gives a shit, right? But if you're looking, like you said, if you're driving across the top of the ridge line and you look down into the forest and you see some shit like that, my assumption, and this is because of where I was born, is that you're dealing with witches. And not we're Wiccans and we're freaking charging our crystals in the moonlight and we like to, have freaky sex. We're talking the other kind of witches, the ones that eat kids and shit.
Talk about Satanists.
Yeah, straight up, full on, dedicated to the dark powers. And it's so weird because it's so prevalent in Appalachia. Probably more so than anywhere else in the United States.
Maybe it's because it's so secluded and easy to do that stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's probably got to be it. Plus, the mountains there are some of the oldest on the planet. And people have been there for shit ever. That's before you get into the weird shit with the Cherokee and they're talking about moon-eyed people and whatever, but
if the Mammoth Cave wasn't such a tourist attraction, it'd probably be a coven type of area.
Dude, we still have not explored all of Mammoth Cave.
I know.
And there's the one part of it, which I'm sure you know about, where you got to get in the boats.
Yep.
Because it's literally an underground river. Like if you're a D&D player and you ever find yourself in Kentucky, you should go to Mammoth Cave.
Yeah.
Because that will definitely put in your brain what you're trying to describe to your players.
Yeah, no kidding. And also it's a very interesting cave. I mean, just like there's a lot of different stuff in there that's just like beautiful.
Like when all those people with, what was it, emphysema or something moved in there because they thought it would cure them, but instead they all died.
That's a bad idea. I don't know why you would do that. That's stupid.
Because it was like back in 1910 or something.
But I was talking about just the beautiful, natural formation.
Oh yeah, the stone curtains and everything.
Yeah. If anything, though, you're talking about my backyard, basically.
Yeah, that's not too far from you. Like
what's definitely not too far. I mean, it wouldn't take me long. I could have probably walked to Mammoth Cave from some of my houses I lived in.
See, the thing that we visited last time we were up there, which was pretty far for us, but the Cumberland Falls.
Yeah, I've been there too. That's a nice place.
Yeah.
Isn't that where you see the moonbow?
Yep, the moonbow. There's only 2 moonbows in the whole world. One's in Kentucky and one's in Kilimanjaro, Africa.
Yep.
And Every night, if the moon is out, there's a moonbow across the falls, you know,
Hmm.
because Kentucky is a weird state.
Yeah, we get a lot of decently cool tourist attractions at
Oh
least.
yeah, we've got like the Natural Arch.
Yeah, natural arch.
That's over near my side of the place. Not quite, but
I thought
near.
was it the I thought it was called the Natural Bridge or something like that though.
Yeah,
Was it? Okay.
but you got to walk like a mile down through the woods to get to it.
Yeah, now they just have like, a thing to take you up there.
And
What's
then
it
you
called?
got
Ski lift or whatever. A lift.
all the caves everywhere.
The caves. There's Onyx Cave, Mammoth Cave, the third largest cave in the world.
Hmm.
There's also Cumberland Falls, like you said, and then there's some stuff in Appalachia too, wasn't there?
Oh, tons. You can go to Harlan and you can go in front of the Harlan courthouse and read about all the wars that happened in Harlan County.
Around where we live, there's also the Hatfield and McCoy type of thing that you get. The whole feud between them two. You'll hear a lot about that.
Oh yeah, the McCoys were right.
I don't know much about it. I just know of it.
Yeah, the McCoys were the ones.
All I
from
know is
Kentucky.
over the price of a pig.
What was that, Nerdy Ogre?
All I know is it was over the price of a pig.
That was the start of it.
That was the start of it.
Kind of, but not even
Yeah.
really that.
No.
Because during the Civil War, the Hatfield and the McCoy patriarchs were in the same unit, and the Hatfield deserted. And the McCoy saw him do it and let him get away. And then the McCoy finished off the war. But the whole time the war was going on, the Hatfields back in what would become West Virginia were what they call home guard. And they were pretty well known for, like, if you were a Union soldier that had been released from the military and you were going home to Kentucky, they would shoot you, even though they were West Virginians. So they were just a bunch of assholes. And it was kind of a culmination of a lot of tomfoolery that brought everything to a head, you know?
Ugh.
Yeah.
Plus, there was some ripping off stuff because while the old man McCoy had still been fighting in the war, the Hatfield guy had been taking advantage of shit, you know, to enriching his family and stuff, like cutting all the lumber off of the land that didn't belong to him and shit. And yeah,
Now I
and
wish there was the Hatfield in here.
they killed the old McCoy guy, but then it turned into a whole thing. It turned into a whole damn thing, you know. But it was really a war between Eastern Kentucky and West Virginia, because the McCoys were all from from Eastern Kentucky. They were from like Pikeville and all that, you know. So
Howdy, Bruce. He's in the
I see.
backstage.
Remind me not to visit Kentucky.
Well, I mean,
Well,
you're allowed to visit, just don't get off the trails or anything.
Yeah.
As long as you
Here-
don't get off of the trails, you'll be fine.
Here in Western Kentucky, especially, the people are friendly enough.
Yeah, he basically lives in what we would call Eastern Indiana.
We wouldn't want to be part of Indiana. Fuck them.
Like, and they called that too, because when we drove to Indiana,
Hey,
they called that whole region Kentuckiana.
I know some good people that came from Indiana.
Oh yeah,
Still
Yeah.
don't want to be part of Indiana. Fuck it.
Where do they live now?
And the Memorial Cemetery in Houston,
Okay.
Texas.
so Texas is where they're at. I'll tell you what, I visited Bloomington, Indiana, and I hated everyone and everything there. It took me one day to realize that I hated the entire city.
That's
Like everything. I hated the trees.
out
You know
of
what I
all
mean?
the cities in Indiana, that is the most relaxed city in the entire state, dude.
Bloomington?
Bloomington and then Fort Wayne, Indiana. That's the other cool city in Indiana.
Yeah, I hated it so bad.
Oh, God.
I hated the restaurants. I hated the trees. I hated everyone I met. I hated. And we had to go to the university because my niece was getting her master's thing, her hood. And I hated everyone at the university, including the teachers. I hated the university. If I didn't love my niece, I would have hated her too. Like, I hated every part of it. I was like, I don't understand how anyone lives here.
You know, I swear to God, I'm listening to this song with James right now called "Ugly Kid." It's Ugly Kid Joe's "Everything About You," but
Yeah.
it's about the entire fucking city.
Yeah, it's like, I hate everything about you. Yeah, it's like you couldn't go anywhere without some hyper progressive university student being there, stinking up the air with their freaking patchouli. It's like, this is Indiana, so how is it full of freaking hippies? How is it I'm in downtown Bloomington and it feels like I'm in Haight Ashbury? You know,
Look,
it's like, what is
I've
going on?
learned no matter what state it is, there's always at least one city that's full of nothing but
Hey.
hippies.
You know what? There's a radio.
California abuses the privilege. California
There
abuses
is
the
a
privilege.
there is a
but
theory.
every state has at least one city that is nothing but freaking
There's
hippies.
a
Wherever
theory.
the university is.
In Texas, we
There's
have
a
Austin.
theory now, guys, by a radio guy up here called Joe Souchere. He says, and I quote, "The closer you live to the tallest buildings, the deeper the mystery," meaning, aka, the farther left you are. the tallest buildings in a state, because that's, you know, if you look at it, it's all these cities, you know, like New York City, LA, Seattle, Portland, got the tallest buildings, and that's where they congregate.
Yeah, it's just not for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's
It
like going
reminds
to
me,
Louisville. Fucking shit, nowhere. No way I want to go there ever again.
Reminds me
Nope.
that story about thieves and scumbags who basically were meeting in Port-au-Prince. I think it is República Dominicana or something like that. And basically, I was told that the evil was concentrated, so God sent them a tsunami.
Well, you can eat if you're starving.
Do you think that it makes sense?
Here's my theory about it. You move to the city and you're used to everything being handed to you so long as you have money. And if you don't have money, somebody will give you money. Well, in the country, you have to do it yourself. You got to go out and you got to learn how to plant something, to grow it, and feed it to the animals. And you start to get grounded a little bit with Mother Earth.
Or you have to learn how to fish and hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Around
what-
here, these people around here think that every coyote is a wolf. Practically. I laugh so hard. It's just like, no, that's a coyote. You know, they put these pictures up on the next door neighbor website. I saw a wolf in my backyard. No, that's just a fat coyote, girl.
Yeah, you'll know if you see a wolf. You'll
Yeah.
know.
James, do you know the clan Coyote?
I know
don't- they
that
can't
coyote
identify-
is a trickster.
They couldn't identify. If we had two different types of deer up here, they wouldn't be able to identify between the two of them.
There's
We had
difference
elk
between a
and
reindeer and a donkey.
You know what the first thing I learned when I was young? It was how to fish.
Yeah,
That's the
everyone
first
was
thing.
fishing when we were young.
Yeah.
I didn't.
How could you not? You're on an island.
Yes, you're on an
Yeah.
island. It should be easy to learn.
Yeah, but there nobody took me to go fishing when I was a
No.
kid.
Sad.
Yep.
I didn't
Sad.
have a normal childhood, probably.
Well,
I
who
can tell
did?
you. At least fishing's not that hard anyway. I mean, just put a hook on a line and then just put a worm on there and you'll be set.
You'll be set. So I'm gonna have to go. Like TCG said.
Yeah, we knew when you were gonna leave.
Yep. The food
Yeah.
is on the oven, and my
Okay.
wife is hungry. So
Okay. When I mentioned Clan Coyote, I was making a reference to BattleTech. Do you know the Clan
I don't
Coyote?
worry about any of the
All
clan.
right.
rules.
Hasta la vista,
I'll
folks.
say
Have a good day.
Okay.
Have a
See
good
ya.
one.
Okay.
Where we
bye.
going next, guys?
See you
Nice
later.
to talk to you.